Arctic terns, the bird world's long-distance champions, undertake an immense yearly journey, traveling around 50,000 miles. Their migration path takes them from the cold breeding areas in the Arctic, which includes distant islands and coastlines in northern Europe, Siberia, parts of North America, as well as Iceland and Greenland, down to their wintering grounds in the Antarctic near the Weddell Sea. You might wonder if their arrival boosts the importance of Antarctica, giving it more recognition on some imaginary global leaderboard. Throughout the year, these birds chase the sun across the globe, enjoying more sunlight than any other creature on Earth. It's a bit like they're in a constant summer, which sounds quite lovely. Yet, amidst this perpetual journey for warmth, Arctic terns also engage in fascinating mating behaviors. The male Arctic tern takes part in what is known as a fish flight, which involves flying about noisily with a fish in his mouth and then showing off his feathers on the ground in a loud display. The ultimate aim is to impress a female by giving her the fish, symbolizing his affection and commitment. If the female accepts the fish, the two birds pair up for at least the breeding season. Some people believe these birds stay together for life, adding romance to their story. They work together to raise their young, usually 1 to 3 chicks, in nests that hold eggs speckled in light brown or olive green shades. Thinking about the Arctic tern's relentless travel can make you wonder, what drives them to move so far every year? Is it just instinct, a deep-rooted drive to follow ancient migration routes, or maybe they are in an endless search for the perfect summer? While we might find their extensive migrations and quirky romantic gestures interesting or even amusing, it's important to remember that these behaviors are all about survival. These birds face countless challenges and rely on their incredible stamina and navigation skills to make it through each year, moving from one end of the world to the other, driven by the natural cycles of the seasons. The struggle for survival is clearly visible in the tough and challenging world of nature, where the Arctic terns live. The birds, affectionately called mom and pop, take turns sitting on their eggs for about 22 days. They do this because they are programmed by nature to protect their young at all costs. This protective behavior is so intense that other birds often build their nests nearby just to benefit from the tern's strong defense. While the baby Arctic terns stay safely in their nest, they are under the constant care of their parents for around 3 more weeks. During this time, they learn essential survival skills, primarily how to fly. After they learn flying, they don't leave immediately. They hang around the nest under their parents' watchful eyes for 1 or 2 more months. But once this period is over, they must face the world on their own. Being on their own doesn't mean things get easier. Arctic terns don't start thinking about having their own families until they are about 3 years old. Even the settling down concept doesn't really apply to them. These birds are natural wanderers and are known for making the longest migration journey in the animal kingdom. This doesn't exactly paint a picture of a stable life. The Arctic terns typically live near large bodies of water like oceans, inland lakes, or even remote ice floes and islands. Being near water is very important for them, not only because they need to eat fish and crustaceans found there, but also because it helps them stay safe from predators like foxes, minks, rats, and aggressive birds like skuas. Looking at them, Arctic terns might not appear very special. They have whitish-gray feathers, bright red beaks, and a simple black cap of feathers on their heads. Their long tail feathers split beautifully, earning them the nickname the swallow of the sea. However, don't be misled by their charming name. They look quite similar to their relatives, the common terns, who have slightly longer beaks that are orange and tipped with black. Unlike the Arctic terns, common terns prefer warmer southern areas. The similarities can confuse people who don't know much about birds. The life of an Arctic tern is far from easy or peaceful. It revolves around a continuous cycle of defending, surviving, and migrating relentlessly, a clear indication of the toughness needed to exist in some of the most extreme environments on Earth. Despite their small size, Arctic terns have an impressive wingspan of 30 inches. Surprisingly, they weigh just a little over 0.2 pounds, which is about the same as a single banana. It's quite fascinating to think that such a small bird can have wings so wide. These tiny birds are nature's wonder, managing to travel vast distances despite their minimal weight. Bird migration is a fascinating aspect of nature, where birds embark on extensive travels between their breeding grounds and places where they find food. These journeys range from short vertical climbs up or down a mountain to epic transcontinental voyages spanning thousands of miles. Below, we dive into the various migration patterns that birds adopt, how they navigate these long distances, the challenges they face, and the importance of conserving their habitats. The oft-repeated tale of avian migration, a saga of relentless flight from the icy clutches of the north to the more hospitable realms of the south, and back again. It's a primal dance dictated by pursuing prime breeding grounds and avoiding bone-chilling winters. Birds, in their worldly wisdom, have devised such a system to enhance their chances of survival and reproductive success, albeit not without significant risk and hardship. Take, for example, the Arctic tern, an intrepid voyager, which embarks on an annual marathon between polar extremes. The sheer scale of this journey is enough to stir the imagination, or perhaps raise questions about the desperation underlying such extreme efforts. Not all birds, however, indulge in such dramatic migrations. Some prefer a more modest shift, simply ascending or descending the slopes of mountains, like practical commuters in a vertical landscape. These altitudinal migrations are triggered more by the lure of abundant food than by temperature changes. As the cold season approaches, these avian populations descend to where the earth generously offers warmth and sustenance, only to ascend once more when the higher altitudes thaw and bloom with the summer's bounty. Interestingly, the paths birds choose are not set in stone. Some exhibit a striking flexibility, opting for oceanic routes in one season and terrestrial corridors in another. This strategic variation, presumably, allows them to exploit prevailing winds and fluctuating food supplies, showcasing their remarkable adaptability in the face of nature's whims. However, birds are also known to deviate unexpectedly from their usual routes, propelled by acute food shortages. These unplanned excursions can lead them to entirely unexpected locales, a phenomenon as fascinating as it is erratic, hinting at the precarious balance of their existence. During their travels, some birds need quiet places just to change their feathers in peace. Changing old feathers for new ones is essential because feathers help them fly and keep warm. Once they finish changing feathers, they go back to their usual areas and continue living and surviving with new energy. Birds fly across countries and oceans using natural methods like star patterns, Earth's magnetic fields, and landmarks like coastlines and mountains. However, even with these skills, their migration is very risky. They face many dangers like getting very tired, being attacked by predators, and bad weather. Today's world adds more threats like buildings with glass, big windmills, and tall towers. City lights can also confuse them and make cities deadly places. Protecting places where birds stop to rest and eat during their migration is now a big focus for saving birds. These spots are like safe spots in a long journey, and keeping them safe from building projects and pollution is crucial. People who enjoy watching birds learn a lot from understanding these migration patterns. Knowing when to expect different birds makes watching them more enjoyable and helps people appreciate how tough and beautiful these birds are. Studying bird migration teaches us about nature's connections and our important role in keeping nature balanced. By helping with and supporting conservation, we help protect these birds and their migration, which continues to amaze and inspire people everywhere. Are human activities disrupting ancient migratory patterns to the point of altering the course of evolution? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more.